So before I guess I go into reviewing it, I'm just generally curious on both of you. Like, how have your games been? How has like, are you guys studying or just playing? Like, so I guess I'll ask you, Chip. Like, yeah, how's your games been and everything? You've been
So
consistently staying at 8Q, which is great because when we met, you were at like 10 or 11, right?
yeah. So I appreciate that. I was doing really well last month, and then this month I haven't really had time to play many ranked games, and when I have, they haven't gone well.
Mm.
But I'm literally in the busiest part of the year at work, so I figured that's distracted me a little bit. And although I was keeping up with the study for a while, I just haven't even been able to study very much in the last couple of weeks just because of work. So I
Mm.
just figure, once I can get through this period at work and some brain cycles free up, I should be able to get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, you were studying like 4 hours a day, and
Yeah, there's
I
no way I can do that right
and
now.
I remember how hard you were trying, and then when you would lose, you would take it hard because you were
Yeah,
putting so much work and dedication into your
yeah,
studies.
yeah.
So I think after your long study period, and now you're just playing to play, I
Hmm.
think there's less pressure for you, right? And
Yeah,
so
it does seem that way. Yeah.
and so now you're kind of trying to remember and solidify what you learned.
Yeah.
So it's good to have these periods of like studying hard, and then it's good to have the periods where you don't study at all and you just
Hmm.
play.
Okay.
So I think you're doing well. Um,
Thanks.
what about you, Jory? Jory, it looks like you went down a rank. Weren't you like 13 or 14 Q, and now you're like 12, right?
Yeah, I played I think one or two ranked games and ranked up, but I'm sure I will quickly rank back down to 13Q in my next couple of matches. Yeah, I haven't been playing a whole lot. I've been so busy. But I'm trying to make time to get some games in. Chip's been keeping me in the loop with our scheduled league games, so that's been good.
Well,
That's
Jory,
good.
I've been hesitant to admit this, but if you and I were to play ranked games with handicap enabled, you would just destroy me and rank up very quickly. I would rank down very quickly, and you would rank up very
I'm fine with that. That sounds good.
quickly.
All right, so let's take a look at this game and let's see through it. So everything, pretty good so far. You guys really have a good grasp on the opening. I like this move. I'm assuming because he's trying to build something here, you played here so to prevent him from getting like a double wing. Is that right?
Yeah, the extension, so I blocked the enclosure.
Yeah, you wouldn't want, yeah, yep, you wouldn't want black to get another move here because this would look too good. So I really like this approach over here. And then this is the modern style way to play, right? Which works really well. So for you, Chip, here's something new in case Jory keeps doing this against you. Or if anybody who you play, like, learn this from me. For black, you shouldn't play here. And normally you would, right? Because if you play somewhere else, white can so if you play somewhere else, white can come out, right? I don't know why that keeps messing up. But white can come out, right? And so it's like now white kind of got the corner and got out, right?
Yeah.
So I can see why you wanted to play something like this, and normally it would be correct. But in this case, there's a cutting point here. There's a cutting point here. And so with all these weaknesses here, there's a way to take advantage of it. Um, if black plays this, what would you do, Jory, in this situation?
Um, hmm, uh, not sure. Maybe cut at R9, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
because it's an Atari, or you can extend out, and I don't think he can save both, can he? Maybe he can. I don't know.
So because of the weaknesses here, if white tries to Atari, when black fixes,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? Do you play something like this, or do you take the stone? In normal, most people would take the stone, but if they do, once black plays here, if you defend, well, here's a double Atari, right? And so then this becomes
Yeah.
a problem. This isn't even alive technically yet, right? And so you would end up like in Gote, and then black got a solid wall.
Mm.
And you know, his Moyo is looking pretty nice right now. So with these weaknesses in mind, you actually can't go through this motion. I'm sure if you were playing the game, you would have read this out, right? You wouldn't have blindly just played here. I'd hope anyway. And so, any other ways we look at it, right? If white takes this, then black gets this here, and we can see that this is a bad result for white because these stones they're dead. They're just gonna die, and so black ends up getting a full corner and a very thick wall. So these weaknesses here are a problem. When you have two weaknesses, you always want to do your reading. So if black plays something like this, white's kind of only option is like here, and then black gets the seal. Now white does get Sente, so then you could still perform your plan. But this was for Chip actually. So Chip, remember this with these weaknesses here, this double Hane works very well.
Okay.
So you can see that I assume for black, positive, you would feel really good for sealing him in, right? Yeah, on both sides, you just have you have the influence everywhere, and he can't move anymore. So it's very nice to remember, and I think this is gonna happen often when you're playing like Jory or Marty or Aaron, because I try and teach this one. This is the most modern way for white to play in this situation. So yeah, overextension is bad. If we can seal him in, we should seal him in. And with all these weaknesses, we should like kind of try and feel out where we could see the weakness. The poor way to do it would be something like this. Technically, you get the same result, but now you had to give up a capture for it, right?
Yeah.
And so this is like the improper way of doing it. But if you played something like this and then he still made the same mistake, then it's very clear that this would be good for you. Which happens in the game, I think, actually. So much later on, this actually occurs where you played here, and then, because you have no liberties, Jory had to give them up, and so you lost them. So, very similar thing happened. The difference was it didn't have to, right? Because even if you push one more time, Jory, black should now respond, because this would be really bad, hitting the head of these two stones. The weakness isn't here anymore because you have extra liberties. So for you, Jory, you don't want to get sealed in, right? Like, this should feel bad if you got sealed in. So make sure to take your Sente move and push against him, because if he plays here now, you don't have weaknesses. So very, very important spot for both players. So the computer says that this area is fine, nothing's gonna die here, and so it wants you to continue on with taking the corners, Chip. So as we know, we always want to do the corners first, then the sides, and then the center. So in this case, the computer really wanted you to push on one of these. This one helps Jory solidify, but I can see that it helps you push forward more. So then because you wanted to attack this, am I right?
Sorry if I'm moving. Yeah, that was absolutely what I was thinking. Was trying to isolate that white stone.
Yeah. So I see where you're going with it. But since it's early in the game, it really, really focuses on the corners. And this is a fundamental that Yulin Yang teaches in his fundamental book, right? We always want to focus on the corners first, and then the sides. So in this case, something like this would have been more appropriate. But it was fine. I didn't think it was too much of a big deal. Technically, it's still Sente, right? Because white should answer. But white answered here, and this is what causes many, many problems. Jory, when we have a shape like this, we have a cutting point, right?
Yep.
And if we protect that cutting point, we become very solid. This is what the Japanese call hante, the real move. So usually when there's like a diagonal and they take one, then you should do the other, right? So this is a good shape to remember. And you might ask, well, this protects this, right? When you play here, it protects this cut. But once black gets one move here, it creates all these weaknesses. If white protects here, Chip, where would you go next? Or even Jory. Let me ask Jory then. Jory, as black, where would you go if we switched roles?
I guess if he cut at D3, I would have to guard, and then could he descend potentially?
Yep.
I don't know if that
just
would work.
count the liberties after the descent.
Yeah, it would only be 2.
Yep. And how many would black have?
Several. I guess that cutting stone. Well, the cutting stone would have 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
More than me.
Right. And so this weakness comes, and so now you have to play this bad shape. And then later on, this becomes even more like of a weakness. So let's say it went something like this. And if you Tanuki'd, if you Tanuki'd where you did in the game later, once black makes this cut, well, now he can just kill these stones like pretty easily, right? And so there's lots of shape weaknesses here, and this shape weakness should feel bad. So when it comes to the golden rule of attachment, we do want to strengthen ourselves, but we don't technically want to like run away in this type of thing, right? So let me see. If black attached here, you wouldn't play this move, right? Right? This is bad. This is like backtracking or backing away from the fight. Normally you would either hane or you would play a move that would put pressure on this stone. Like this one is putting pressure on this stone, but this one isn't. So in this case, it's very similar where he touched you and then you like went the opposite direction. So it's really, really helpful to remember a few rules, with the direction of play. With the golden rule of attachment, you don't want to back away from the fight, right? You want to make a move that would put pressure on this. And then the other way you can remember it too is that when you have a diagonal and they take one, it's generally the right move to connect on the other one. So that explains the shape. one of my specialities, right, is like shape and direction of play. So I really had to go on a tangent on that one.
No, that's good.
Just think of 2 sumos grappling each other.
Yeah. Okay, so for now, so black played here, but Chip, I think you can see now how much of a weakness this is. So putting the pressure here would have been better. But this is still fine. Another thing too is because you have a 2-stone wall, it's usually more appropriate to make a larger jump. But I'm not really against this, only because it is opening up A's weakness. For white though, white played here, and I assume you can see now why I wanted you to play this one, right, Jory? Yeah, so multiple reasons. One, it shores up your defenses. 2, it's a tiger's mouth, right? And what do we like to do when we see tiger's mouths?
Breaking the tiger's mouth.
Yes, we like to break them. Because we can see that when black gets this shape, 1, he has a tiger's mouth, so it's really strong. Very strong. And 2, it damages you greatly. If you guard this way, this is done. If you guard this way, then he has all these options. Is this profitable right now? Not really. When you look at it, black only got 2 stones, and technically white got 2 stones, right? 1 and 2. So it's not the most profitable of exchanges yet. But even just getting this much far and then leaving these weaknesses for later, this was worth it. These exchanges for black. And so I think the computer like even makes white guard, like it's saying like white should guard here, because there's weaknesses here. So anyway, this was a very, this is very like heavily shape theory, right? But it's something that we still have to go over often, right? Which is breaking the tiger's mouth. So this group here is still very safe. You probably played this because you feared for its life. But if black plays something like this, you can play very lightly and make sure to escape. So even if he cuts you, you can use these cuts for your advantage, right? Like, and then this probably isn't the best example. But another way you could escape too is actually hitting him on the head as well. Because as he plays to Hane you or extend, then you can start to make some shape. Start to make a table shape. Which I think I saw Chip actually use. Chip, you've seen this shape before, right?
Yes.
I actually witnessed you use it on Marty, and I was like really surprised.
Oh, wow.
It's a pretty high level shape, but
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, the idea is that you still have plenty of places to kind of run around, even though it doesn't feel like it. So this was a very important shape to break. Once again, this was here. So I think I'm sure you guys looked at the computer, right? I'm sure you saw this shape over and over.
Oh yeah, it was screaming at me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
So yeah, for both of you, I want you to really try and comprehend how important like tiger mouths are in breaking people's shape. So like for white should break black shape, and for black should make the shape, which actually also helps you break white. So very, very important for both players. Same with when we were talking about this move over here, right? This is very important for both players. So it's like there's some fundamentals you're both missing here. The one is the sealing in your opponent, and the other is breaking people's shape.
Okay.
This was bad. What was your thinking here, Jory? What was your plan?
Playing B.
Yeah, because I'm sure you saw that black can split you in one move, right? So I'm just curious why.
I think my idea was to roll over the E6 stone and then try to start like building out into the middle. But I mean, yeah, looking at it now, clearly it was not a great idea. I think I had the two lonely stones that were starting to fall behind the sector line. So I was trying to figure out like how to secure those stones more. So I was gonna like maybe make a table shape, but then decided if I could lean on that cutting point and then potentially get some forcing moves to build up a wall, I could start to make some eye shape with
Gotcha.
those stones, and then also at the same time just like reduce that middle moyo that he was building.
Yeah, all right. I understand where you're coming from now. So you looked for a weakness and then you tried to lean on it. The problem with it though is that you already have a weakness here, right?
Yeah.
And now if we look at this, now you have a weakness here. So it's like your group that was beneficially making you points can be now broken pretty easily, right? And then the group that isn't making any points is you're trying to help them, but it's generally actually like hurting them, right? Yeah, I'm sure you started to feel some pain here a little. So your idea of looking for a weakness and trying to strengthen your group makes sense. But if it squanders like your points and hurts your other group, then I don't think it's worth it, right?
Yeah, I guess my thought was also if those two stones died, it was basically game over. So I was just trying to figure out like how do I secure those two stones.
So another thing too is this is gonna come with experience, for sure. But these two stones are extremely hard to kill. Chip, do you feel confident that you could kill these two stones?
Not without a big running battle.
Yeah. And so the shape that you want to know to make sure that these are gonna live pretty easily is the dog face. You've heard of the dog face?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a great shape. It's extremely hard for black to stop white from continuously making, these triangles or these dog faces. And they create lots of room for eye space in good shape. Another weakness you could look at is this one too. So if he answered something like this, I'm sure you would feel a little more secure about this. And this weakness, once he activates it, it's not hurting your group here. Whereas this one, once you activate this weakness, it's hurting your group significantly. So that's the difference. But yeah, ideally, like Chip, which approach would you go to start attacking these, right? Like, are you gonna come this way, on top?
I would probably do something stupid like Cat, and then he'd be able to start carving out his eyes, all over the interior.
Yeah, so like, do you keep them like this way,
Yeah,
and
exactly. And then he just continues expanding. Yeah.
then he can make himself a nice
Yep.
table shape, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can see that it's actually extremely hard to kill these two stones. So your fear of thinking they were gonna die is what made you make bad decisions, which then hurt you, right?
Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah. So I just want you to understand that how good the dog face shape is, and that you could have done it in any direction, right? Like even if he went this way, you could come this way, right? Because you still have like these oblong shapes that you can make. um, so yeah. So knowing the dog face shape is a good one. Feel free to try it often, especially when you're like in a dangerous area like this. Also, attachments are always nice because they'll generally help you make strength. They'll generally help you make good shapes, right? Even if he tries to attack you as strong as possible, you'll be able to make some type of strength or shape here. If he ignores this cut and plays somewhere else, like over here or something, or a cap or whatever, then this is going to be pretty hard for him to deal with, because you're going to be able to get out. Like, he's not going to be able to stop you. So attachments are always good. And this cap happens pretty often, the one that you used here, this like large cap. So knowing that attaching here is pretty good will help you. Not in this particular move, right? You should play here, but I'm just saying in general. And dog faces help a lot too. All right. So for black, you were trying to seal him in, but this weakness is now just as important as it was earlier, right? Like this is it's pretty devastating for white. If white was to play this, later you have this move. Even if he cuts you here, you have a large amount of places you can go. So even if you get cut here, it's gonna be hard for white to stop you. So this group is looking pretty strong. I would worry about this one a little though. But yeah, this move I think would have been really nice to play. And then if you were worried, you can connect. And this is also just very nice because you can see all these cutting points and weaknesses. I mean, if you kill this whole corner, who cares if he lives here, right? That's how I look at it. But you did play this way and got separated. And once white played here, I think it kind of fixed a lot of the scariness that was here. And so now white was kind of got away with I don't want to say with murder here, but he saved his own life. So this was bad. Chip, I can tell you just didn't want him to make an eye shape here, right?
Yeah.
But it looks like he should be fine, because even if you stop him, I mean, look at this jump, right? He's not gonna have any trouble living. So instead of worrying about like now killing him because he has like a nice 2-stone wall facing out, I would more worry about maybe saving your own territory.
Yeah.
Or in this case, this is still has a lot of devastation, like here. You know, even if it just went like this, right? Like, well, I don't think white can play here, and so, like, if you cut this off, this should feel bad for white, right?
Right.
And this group is looking a little, you know, it's in a little danger, a little bit. Not like a crazy amount, but it would feel better if you were able to like solidify it, right, with getting like 2 eyes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a little greedy. And for you, Jory, this looked too small. So if you play here, what does this create? Do you remember what we call this?
Elephant Eye?
No, no. So I call it two things. Chip,
Oh,
do you
Romeo
remember?
and Juliet split.
Yeah, yeah. And the other one is a broken knight's move, right? So anytime you can do this, this is a good time. Would you feel bad, Chip, like looking at this?
Yes, I would regret L7 at that point.
Yeah, right. It creates a bad shape for black, and now if black was to like Tanuki, to me this looks like really scary, right? Like, you know, maybe not scary, like maybe black's not gonna die, right? Black can make 2 eyes, but it looks much sadder than what it would have been, right? Like now black can't make any points here. There's almost no points here. It's just not that good, and so I really liked this move, and I think it's very natural to fix yourself when they peep. But the computer liked this one the most just because it fixes all the bad stuff that was over here. Because once black gets this move, now it, you know, black has kind of sealed in white, and there's still a little bit of Aji. But yeah, so this just looked like out of left field to me. You really wanted to kill this stone, right, Jory? Is that what I'm looking at here?
It wasn't so much about killing the stone. I was more thinking I just wanted to make sure that I was really fully out.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that I could. I was afraid to Tanuki away and then get like sealed in and die. So I was just trying to make like some eye space and kind of stretch out a little bit before going elsewhere.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I really wanted to play away, but I felt irresponsible doing it.
When I see where you're coming from, where you wanted to get out, but for Chip, Chip should not have responded here. Do you know why, Chip? Like, why would an A or C be better than responding here?
It's just small. It's only one stone.
Yep.
It's not even a guaranteed eye yet.
Yep. Exact, perfectly explained. Yeah, it's very small, and it's not even a guaranteed eye. So let's look at you taking this, right? Once you get this move, now this stone is in trouble, and it's almost guaranteeing you a lot of points.
Yeah.
Right? You still have this invasion to worry about, but even when he did do it, you handled it well, and you got all your points, right? So getting this is like so much more valuable than saving this one stone. So if we see if white to take it, as you said, I mean, to me it does look like a guaranteed eye, but the point is not to kill this group, right? Because this group already has a lot of running space, and especially now, right? If we just give them the running space, so if there's no reason to kill this group, then we don't have to worry about killing this eye.
Right.
So these are the decisions for you, Chip, that we gotta find and break, so that way you can get further, right?
I got caught up in the chase, and that's where I started making bad moves like L7, and then trying to rescue H8. Yeah.
Yeah, you were like a shark. You smelt blood in the water. You know, you smelt the blood.
That's right.
So yeah, this was bad, and then this was bad. And then for Jory, to me, I would still feel confident I could get out here. So breaking this apart and making this weak, and then taking all these points away would be worth me playing this. And then for getting away, I wouldn't play this because at my level, 5Q and up, I don't think would respond. So it's, it feels like a little bit of a wasted move. So I don't know. Maybe I'd fix, or I'd play something like this, because at least then I'm looking, look at how much more running space I have, right?
Yeah.
So something like this might have been a little better to attack this stone, and then once he tries to fix it, he'll have to try and fix it again, and then I can break them apart. So in all, like from what I see from this game, you can learn from Jory is that this is much more resilient than it looks. There is some scary walls, but you have lots of good shape you can make to fix yourself. I mean, you could even just play here, right? And you'd be fine.
I mean, Jory, once you play 10 again, I would have resigned. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was expecting.
Yeah. You didn't want the game to end too soon. That's why.
Exactly.
All right. So yeah. Let's see. So some more shape knowledge. So this is a tiger's mouth, but usually an even better shape especially when you're trying to get away, is to play the table shape. So this is the table shape. You're familiar with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's only one move away from the net, so that's another way to remember the shape. But the reason this is better is because one, you're just generally out more. And if he tries to cut you, you can just kill him, right? So you get your tiger's mouth anyway. So that's why I like this one better than this one. And then finally, of course, like I said, this is one of the most important moves you can do. Anytime you get this shape, I want you to feel good. I don't care if you die horribly. Even if you just get this shape, you're like, oh, I got the Romeo-Juliet split. Yes, that's what I want.
Yeah, I was also like, no, dumpling, don't do it.
Yeah, so once Chip, you were able to cut here, it kind of fixed most of your problems. So it was good for you. You should be a little concerned about this. So this was correct. This is okay. And this is good because it's helping these stones. The computer just really wanted you to play this first because it helps your stones even more, right? But still, I like this move. Even if you played this and Jory answered correctly, this would be like the next move I think it wants you to play. So it's fine. So this was interesting. Jory, I liked your decision to play here. Instead of like fixing this, like I actually like this better. But then this would look bad. So
short-lived genius.
Yeah. So what is this shape?
The Romeo and Juliet split.
Yeah. I know. I taught it to you.
Yeah.
You need to realize how good this is. Like just looking at it, right? I'm sure for you, Chip, I'm sure you'd feel really bad for this stone right now.
Yeah, I would.
And then
and for my group.
Yeah, and this group, as you said, like it doesn't have any eyes yet. So this is looking real bad. And yeah, Black gets this. So technically he can get his 2 eyes. The 2 eyes are here. Well, maybe not actually. Let me see. Well, I think Black would be able to get out. It's just going to be very uncomfortable, which stinks. No.
I could get another one on the left edge.
Yeah.
But I would live small. I would live so small.
Yeah. You're right.
Sad.
Yeah. I mean, even if you live small, it's good you got the reduction. But yeah, seeing how White got this, which is gonna give him like an insane amount of points most likely, then yeah, this should feel really bad. But yeah, so my point is that when we look, you have a weakness and another weakness, so you have 2 weaknesses. So naturally, you should want to fix yourself. And here is the Hante move, right? This is the same exact thing we were looking at down here. Where the Hante move was this one, right? So this is a shape you're gonna see all the time. So really, really try and ingrain that, like, especially when you have two weaknesses, that you should fix one of them. So this looks very painful even now for black, because the same problems apply, right? This isn't alive yet, and this is looking much more solid, this corner for you. But once you pushed here and then black answered, I was like, okay, well now, now you have to come back. But you were really gung-ho. You were ready to go forward.
For blood.
Yeah, Jory doesn't look back, only forward.
Exactly.
So, yeah, this was a big weakness. And then as we see, black, even Chip was so kind and gave you a chance to do it again, but you didn't take it. So at this point, if you played here, Chip, I think it would have been better, but because once you play here, white still has the opportunity to do this. But Jory was just very insistent on not playing the correct move.
I forged my own path.
Yeah.
You kind of, hit me in the butt with the broomstick, like, Chip, go make that cut.
Yeah.
When you played C15.
Yeah, and you
I still didn't do it right.
You still didn't do it, but this gave you a good result anyway, right? Yeah.
I think Jory and I both were just doing everything we could to avoid C13. We both thought it was a trap.
Yeah, it's very surprising. In the end, you did get it though, and I'm sure, like, looking at this now, Jory, do you feel bad, like, how good black got it now?
Yeah, no, I definitely see the cut would have been better. I mean, my plan was basically like to sacrifice a couple of stones to sort of like build out the corner, and then this. So in the end, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like got what I was aiming for, but I see like it was not the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and after the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times that you could have played it. This wall is so solid, right? Not an inch of weakness. It's just pure perfection. So this should become very profitable. That's all it is to it, So it's very sad. It was very sad for me to see this.
The only thing that would have been better is if where do I finally play C13?
Well, after like 6 moves by here.
Yeah, like right there before I played C13 there is if we both Tanuki to the upper right.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, even now, so the what I looked at is if white takes, you have all this opportunity actually. I think what did I play? So I played this one out. And then maybe I didn't look at this perfectly, but it still felt to me like black should play here. So I'm trying to look at, maybe because of these cuts here, it's actually very difficult for white to escape and live here. But maybe we need to Atari first and then come down. Yeah. So here we are. White has 3 liberties, and then black has 4 liberties. So black's gonna be able to take advantage of this. Even if white plays it all out, right? It's not gonna work. So the idea is that even with this Panuki, once you cut him off, maybe you can even cut him off right now. But once you do, then it's actually very difficult for white to live here. But okay, I mean, that was just a very small thing. It's not, this is more about reading and technique. But for you, Jory, really, really, like, all the way back to the most basic fundamental thing, Romeo Juliet is good. Right? Cutting knights moves is good. If you keep that in mind, you'll do it often, and then you'll feel good, and you'll get better results. This jump usually doesn't work very well. So Chip, I'm assuming you were following the rule. If you have 3 stones, you can jump. Is that the rule you were following?
Yeah.
So Marty had that same trouble because we tell you this rule, but then we don't show you how to use it. So this rule only applies on the third line.
Oh.
Maybe the fourth one too, but the third line especially. Because
Okay.
we can look at the difference. So once white cuts here, you have 2 cutting points.
Yeah.
And you have all these weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
So when we look, once you Atari here, if white came out like this, what can black do, right? So here's the Hante move, right? Because there's a weakness here.
Yeah.
So if you guard this weakness, well now white can cut you this line. So cut, push, cut, push, cut. Well, not cut actually. This creates a ladder, but once you do the double Atari, and then you play this, then you can play this. And it leads to a net. So once you get to the ability to read 20 moves, you'll be good, you know? You
Perfect.
just
I'm like at 3.5 moves, right?
But the idea is that there's 2 cutting points, and so white took the weakness. And for you, Jory, we should always know not to give our opponent a Panuki. So even if you think you're gonna die here, right? Even if you play here and you think you're gonna die, you should still play the Panuki because it takes 2 more moves to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he uses these 2 more moves, you usually get lots of forcing. Get these moves where you can like do a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
So we never want to give our opponent a Panuki. In this case, for you, Chip, I think you should have just played here and taken the Panuki. I do see why you played this one, but once he plays this, these openings are still here. But they actually don't work. So when we look at this one, black has a weakness, black has to fix. Now you can take the time to look at all these moves, you know, find the weakest stuff. There was some other formations we could go over. I think I know I went over this one. Let me see. Yeah, so if black plays this one, white plays here. Black only needs 1 more move to die, so black has to protect. And then you can play this Atari and then this nose hit. So there was all these mistakes, all these weaknesses in black's wall because cutting point, and a cutting point.
Yeah.
And so there was something here, but it was really deep. I think I went on a huge tangent on this, but just if I boil it down to the most basic fundamental, for you, Jory, make sure to I'll usually extend, even if you think this is gonna die. Just making it so it takes him 2 more moves to kill you is worth it instead of just giving him 1 move. And for you, Chip, this leaves a lot of weaknesses in the middle of the board. So in the middle of the board, we don't want to play the 1 jump like this.
Okay.
Because it leads to a lot of cuts. So instead, just playing here or playing this move would be fine. Because the knight's move, if he pushes, you get to fix, right?
Yeah.
And then for the most part, you can usually get a net, which doesn't work in this case. But the ladder does, so you have nothing to worry about then. So with the 3 stone rule, I'll show you very quickly. Once you're on the 3rd line, you have the wall to help you, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very easy to see that if he plays here, none of the shenanigans that he got away with in the game would work here.
Yeah.
But because you're so close to the wall. But when you're in the middle of the board, so up. Now you have all these cutting points, and so there's lots of weaknesses, and he has lots of spaces to run away, which then creates more weaknesses for you. So that's the rule about the 3 and then jump. You don't want to do it in the middle of the board. You really only want to use it on the 3rd line.
Okay.
So I think we're getting close to the end here, of, like the main stuff I wanted to talk about. So for white, once you lost your liberties, this weakness is very dangerous, as you know what happened in the game. So instead of tanuking, we needed to fix our problem here. That's really it. I just want you to know, for you, Jory, there's two weaknesses, right? So just like how we talked about it in the early game, if you just played this, it actually fixes your problem, I believe. So let's go here, 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 and then here and here. Well, I guess in this case it doesn't because you lost your liberties here, but earlier in the game it fixed all the problems, right? But yeah, I can't really give you like a fundamental that'll work in most of your games with this compared to the other shapes, but it was just something I saw. I was like, oh, this is really dangerous now. This was surprising, Jory. Why didn't you take the corner?
So I had literally just watched a video on three space invasions, and so in my head was just looking at the board. I was like, oh well, he could like really come in here and wreck up my stuff. So I decided to play a defensive move, but in retrospect, it was a very bad idea.
Yeah, I would think that even if you did want to defend yourself, like this would be better, right? Like it's just more territory, and then it's guarding against this even more, right? But this one, you know, he can push through a little bit and poke, and then, you know.
Yeah, he was plugging the three spaces, and I really didn't have to do that.
Yeah. For me, the corners are very big, so getting a move like this, or even here, you just took away the complete corner from black, and so this looks really bad for black. And secretly, later on, like if you got, like, let's say you got this move and then black played somewhere else, and then you got this move, right? Now this is starting to look a little scary for black. So yeah, for me the corner was so important looking.
Yeah.
Especially when you played this move, which to me is all about taking the corner away, right? So
yeah, I don't know why I didn't follow up with that. It feels strange to me looking at it now. I think the clock also like gets on you a little bit.
Yeah.
I was running a little bit low on time.
Yeah, no, I understand. And you're generally facing a stronger player, right? So you're acting more defensively than you should be. I would think, right? Most players feel that way.
Yeah, I'm used to Chip just like murdering my corners and stuff, so I was stealing myself for his invasions.
Chip, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
You gotta give Jory some respect, right? This is disrespectful.
Well, I certainly was not trying to disrespect Jory.
I was highly disrespected.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Jory, probably this one would have been better, or this one, I think. This one, actually, black could have played here. And as you can see, this would have worked for Chip. And then it could have gone like this as well, which is also pretty decent for Chip. So maybe I was wrong. You didn't have to respect Jory. So
well, I mean, I'm still horrible at counting, so I had no idea what the score was at this point.
Gotcha. So yes, so this is the follow-up move for this Chip. I was now looking at it, because when I did the review, I just was like, oh, this doesn't work, and then it didn't work. But now looking at it, because he played here, you could have played here.
Yeah.
This one, it's just very clear that he just breaks you apart, right? Here's the Romeo Juliet. It's not a knight's move break, but it's still broken, right?
Yeah.
But this move, he can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. So this is all like the small end game stuff. I don't think there was anything else too major until this one. So last thing, if you played here, you would have lived.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on my Biome at this point, and yeah, I was sweating that out.
Yeah. If you lived, I think it would have been a much closer game. Yeah, so black still would have won by like 20 points, but much better than 50, right? 50's painful. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was definitely a lot of things we could learn.
I'm just glad I could donate to Chip's point pool. I wanted him to have as many points as possible. So.
It's been running low lately.
So just some small tips here. There's 2 weaknesses. So for black, it would be good to read this out. If you don't want to read it out, then just remember that, you know, this option is here during this Jblock. But I always advise you to read it, you know, so you should be able to read 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 and 7. Maybe that's a lot to ask, but I think it's doable. I think it's doable for you guys. So this is the first one. The minor problem for me. I mean, I didn't think it was that big of an issue for this move. So, but the computer was all like, this is a little too slow, so it's better to take the corners first. So I like the idea of like playing something like this. For Jory, remember this is the Hante move, the real move. So when somebody tries to split your diagonal, you can just connect, and then you're good, right? There's no weaknesses here whatsoever, right? This is just a very nice corner. But when you run away from a fight, right? Well, you would, like I said, you would never do this, right? I know you wouldn't. So when you run away from a fight, it doesn't help you because it leaves a shape weakness. And then for you, Chip, same thing. If there's a shape weakness, go ahead and take the weakness. That's fine. Potential tiger mouse, we want to break them and fix our shape. Don't make shapes that can be cut easily, right? After this, I'm sure you felt bad about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one, it's very just easily cut, so I never really like making moves that are just cut into ribbons. And then 2, even though you wanted to help this group, it's really, really hurting this group on the side. So it's not good to hurt yourself, you know. And then this isn't really making any points, whereas this group is. So this is the more valuable group. And then third and final, when you have this shape, this one jump shape, you can make dog face shapes very easily, and these shapes are very good for making eyes, and they're very difficult to stop, right? It's very difficult for Chip to stop you from making all these good shapes. Like you're gonna be fine. And then I guess even fourth and final, you can use attachments to make yourself more stronger. No matter which way Chip plays, you're gonna be able to make yourself stronger and start making a table shape. So this is good. You know this is bad, Chip, but I don't know how truly to explain it. Maybe just knowing that, like, when I look at this group, it has a lot of leeway to run away and make good shape. So, you know, it's not good to attack something that you're not gonna profit from, or you're not gonna be able to kill, right?
Yeah.
So if white played here, then you're not profiting. You're actually hurting your profit. So this would have been really bad for you. And then same here. Like when I ask you the question, you know it's like too small. So we just got to get you to the point where you know it without me having to ask you, right?
Right.
So like even if you answer, I think you'd be able to read 1, 2, 3. And then he would have 4, right? So I think you'd be able to see that, like, even if you take away this potential eye from him, he's just gonna come out with a lot of shape, and it's gonna be very hard to kill him. So
Right.
so then it's like, what's the point of then dragging this out if it's like, it doesn't matter if I drag it out, right? It hurts me and then helps him.
Yeah.
So I know you'll get it. I know it'll happen. Things are gonna click. You guys are gonna be teaching me soon enough.
We'll see
I don't know
about that.
Yeah.
The question is teaching what?
Right. So once again, the Hante shape comes. This is about, I want to say, the second or third time it happened in this game. But yeah, so the real shape would be here, which not only creates the Romeo-Juliet split, but it just protects your two weaknesses, right? You got two weaknesses are bad, right? Every single time we see two weaknesses, there is potential of bad. It sounds like I'm talking like a kindergartner, but potential of bad is true. So every time there's been two cutting points, it's usually very dangerous. So we want to remember that, and then take care of one of the cutting points. That's it for the recap. I mean, I think you guys got it. Did you guys want to play a game against each other, and I'll review it?
I'm good if Jory is.
I have to pee real bad.
Yeah, same
So-
here. Can we?
Oh yeah,
take
yeah.
five
Take
and-
yeah.
and-
Take,
Yeah, I'll be right back.